Hello, and a very warm welcome to Granada Reports.
Here's what's coming up on the programme this evening.
A doctor warns they have to think before sending patients to hospital as emergency departments grapple with major winter problems.
We are literally sentencing them to potentially 30 or more hours sat on a plastic chair or on a trolley in a corridor.
A pledge to make children safer, but politicians clash over how far the new rules will go.
The rare honour bestowed on the mum who spent decades fighting for justice.
I'm really proud, really, to be honest with you, very proud. But as I said, I think there's a lot of people deserve it as well as myself.
Can the current holders of the League Cup get one foot back in Wembley Stadium?
The supergroup linking the Beatles, the Happy Mondays and now Noel Gallagher.
And with further wintry weather expected, we have warnings in place for snow and ice over the next 24 hours in the forecast, coming up later.
So first tonight, warnings from a GP that a referral to hospital is a sentence to over 24 hours in a waiting room.
Yeah, in the last hour, 3 more hospitals in our region have declared critical incidents because of rising levels of ill health caused by the colder weather. They're Arrow Park, Aintree and Wiston, where patients are facing delays for getting urgent care.
In a moment, we'll be hearing from an A&E doctor in Lancashire, where the emergency department is running at double capacity.
But first, let's talk to our correspondent Rob Smith, who's at the Royal Liverpool Hospital tonight, where the first critical incident was declared. Rob, have things got any easier in the city today?
You know, when you have a GP of many years standing say that she is having to talk to patients that she wants to send to hospital for treatment about whether or not it is a good idea to send them to hospital for treatment, you get a sense that it really isn't good. Dr. Annie Farrell is a GP in the south of this city. She's on one of Liverpool's medical committees. She isn't blaming the Royal Liverpool for this. She says staff here, the care here, everyone is doing their absolute best. But that doesn't make the conversations that she's having any less stark.
We might see a patient either in their own home or if they've come to the surgery, we feel they're really, really unwell. They may need to go into hospital for investigations or for treatment. But we know that by doing that, we are literally sentencing them to potentially 30 or more hours sat on a plastic chair or on a trolley in a corridor. And it's something that we just have to really bear in mind and run past the patient and their family before we consider whether actually sending them into hospital is the right thing to do.
The 30 hours that she refers to there is actually lower than the 50 that was being talked about yesterday, from triage to getting into a hospital bed here. And people that ITV colleagues spoke to outside this hospital earlier today talked of shorter waits than that even, but still difficult times.
Just wait, no room, no space, just wait. And every single person is struggling with this problem.
He was being sick, called an ambulance, was told there was an hour wait. Then half an hour later was told there was a 9-hour wait and to make her own way here.
Now, it is really important to stress that some of those people that we spoke to, as well as Dr. Farrell, say this is not a unique situation to the Royal Liverpool. They say it's an NHS-wide issue. Dr. Farrell pointing to problems with getting people out into the care system. She sees that is a very, very big issue. The Director of Clinical Care, Emergency Care for the NHS, saying today that wards are filled to bursting all over the country and that the number of flu cases is still rising. Hasn't peaked yet. NHS trusts say number of cases 2.5 times higher this year, and 4 hospitals have now declared a critical incident in this part of the world, here at Royal Liverpool, at Aintree, Arrow Park and at Wiston. The Health Secretary, speaking on the radio earlier, spoke also in stark terms.
I feel genuinely distressed and ashamed, actually, of some of the things that patients are experiencing. We are taking people in ambulances to emergency departments to die because then there isn't the right care available at the right time in the right place.
Yeah, perhaps stark isn't a strong enough word for that. A spokesperson tonight for NHS Cheshire and Merseyside said that their accident and emergency departments are experiencing still very high and rising levels of demand. They say hospital staff are working as hard as they possibly can, extremely hard, to make sure that people are treated as quickly as possible. But they and NHS leaders right across the northwest pointing out that A&E should be for life-threatening, limb-threatening illnesses and injuries. Anything else, they say, NHS 111 online should be people's first port of call.
Rob Smith at the Royal Liverpool Hospital, thanks so much.
Well, earlier I spoke to Dr. Michael Stewart from the Royal Preston Hospital, which is also seeing long waiting times in A&E. I asked him just how great the demand is for their services.
So, looking at the emergency department right at the moment, we currently have about 110 patients in the department. That is geared up really for about half that number. 50 or so of those patients at the moment have been seen, have been treated, need to be admitted to hospital and are currently stuck in the emergency department because the wards are all full, so there are already patients in them. And while the critically ill patients are still being seen straight away, the more stable ones are still waiting several hours at the moment to be seen.
We've seen over the last few hours a number of hospitals having to declare a critical incident. How close is your hospital from following suit?
We are currently at our highest level of internal escalation short of a critical incident declaration, so we're running at a very, very high level of pressure.
Why does this seem to happen every year, Doctor? Because we are fully aware that there are more pressures on hospitals over the winter period, but should the NHS not have had this under control by now?
I think there are a couple of challenges with how we respond to this. So a lot of the pressure on the NHS is in terms of having the staff to look after patients, and you can easily switch on, switch off the training programmes that are needed to produce qualified and experienced nursing staff and doctors over the course of a couple of months. The major pressure that we see at this time of year, and throughout the year in fact, is in getting patients home after they've completed their medical treatment. So I know first thing this morning we had 100 patients in hospital beds who didn't have a medical need to be in a hospital but still had some care and support needs. So they didn't need to be in an acute hospital bed. We couldn't discharge them home because the care didn't exist for them at the moment.
Ultimately, what does that mean for many of our viewers, especially in and around the Preston area? What exactly is a critical incident? And I guess there'll be one or two viewers who'll be concerned about whether it is the right thing to go into the hospital if they need to see a doctor.
Our system is set up, as with all hospitals, to make sure the most seriously ill are seen straight away. And if there's one message I would really want to get out to anyone who's watching or listening to this, is that if you are significantly unwell, if you're concerned, then the hospital is open, the emergency department is open, and you will be seen. What it does mean is that the patients who, once they've had that initial assessment and triage, are ill enough to be in a hospital but not quite so immediately critically unwell, may have to wait some time to be seen. We do ask for people's patience and support with the staff as we work through people as quickly as we can.
OK, Dr. Michael Stewart, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Well, next, MPs are holding a debate in Parliament this evening on the case of the convicted child serial killer Lucy Letby.
Yes, it was called by a former Cabinet Minister who says he spent months looking into the trial of the former Chester nurse and believes a retrial would come to a different conclusion.
Well, our political correspondent, Leisha McNally, is in Westminster for us and joins us now. Leisha, what can we expect tonight?
Well, I think the key expectation and the hope is that this will be a respectful and a solemn debate. We know that speculation about Lucy Letby's guilt in the past has caused huge distress to the families of the babies. Families have already suffered the most terrible loss. Now, the former nurse was found guilty of the murder of 7 infants and the attempted murder of 7 more during her time at the Countess of Chester Hospital. But now one senior Conservative MP, Sir David Davis, says that after a long examination of the evidence from court, he believes that Lucy Letby deserves a new trial, and in the next hour he is expected to lead a debate here in Parliament looking at the issue of key expert witnesses in the case. Now, viewers may remember just before Christmas, Lucy Letby's barrister announced they'd be making a fresh bid to appeal against her convictions and appealing on the grounds that the prosecution's key medical expert witness was not reliable. And the very next day, that witness came out and strongly refuted those claims, saying that things said about his evidence were inaccurate and unfounded. So while we wait for the Court of Appeal to potentially shed some light on these two opposing narratives, it's politicians who will be on their feet looking at this issue of expert witnesses. It is an adjournment debate, which means that a government minister will have to respond, but I don't think this is something they'll want to get too directly involved with at this stage in the legal process. The minister is likely to refer Sir David to the Court of Appeal, which has already upheld every one of Lucy Letby's convictions. Meanwhile, there is a public inquiry examining events at the Countess of Chester Hospital, and those hearings resume tomorrow morning.
OK, Alicia over in Westminster, thank you.
Well, let's take a look at some more of the day's news now. And Manchester United player Harry Maguire has been disqualified from driving after he admitted doing 85 miles an hour in a 50 limit near Manchester Airport. He was caught speeding twice in a 3-day period last March. He's been banned from driving for 56 days and was ordered to pay £1,000 in costs.
A man who was arrested in Greece has been charged with a murder of a teenager in Ormskirk. 19-year-old Matthew Dolby died from stab wounds after a mass brawl in July 2023. 21-year-old Thomas Dures from Alton was extradited yesterday and will appear via video link at Preston Magistrates Court.
More than 60 mountain rescuers had to battle through 3 feet of snow to rescue a walker who became stuck in the Peak District. The call out yesterday afternoon happened in freezing weather conditions. The trekker was treated for hypothermia and stretchered back to safety. The rescue volunteers were eventually stood down at midnight to get some very well-deserved hot food.
Now, to a pledge to make children safer with better chances in education. The Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill is being debated today.
Well, one of its main proposals is free breakfast clubs at all schools. And the Education Secretary has accused Conservatives of trying to derail the bill by demanding it includes measures for another national inquiry into grooming gangs.
Anne O'Connor went to a primary in St Helens this morning to see what difference coming to school early has made.
Before school starts at Carmill Primary, they have a dance. Or jigsaws, or Lego, or just sitting by the sunflowers and having a bit of a think. And of course there's breakfast at this club that costs at most £2 a session, but is invaluable in improving behaviour and previous problems with getting pupils into class.
That is amazing! Well done, you!
Since we've introduced and expanded our breakfast club, our attendance has improved by 3%. Our persistent absence has fallen by 19%. And I think that when you look at the benefits that a breakfast club can bring, why would schools not want to, become involved and to offer that to their children?
The government's proposing free breakfast clubs across the country to help children and also parents who want to work.
I've got Aidan May Arnold, she is 9, and Annie Ray Arnold, and she is 5.
How much of a help is it?
A massive help, especially as a working parent, because I couldn't work if I didn't have this option of getting them to school earlier. They thrive in their self-esteem, their confidence, mixing with other children.
When I didn't come here, I used to just be lazy, and then when I came here, they learnt me how to do dances, sports, and it really helped me.
I think it makes me feel more active, and it just gives me more makes me feel good for the school day to come and everything.
And the legislation has added to this week's ongoing row between government and the Conservatives, who want it amended to include billionaire Elon Musk's call for a national inquiry on grooming gangs.
It is incredibly important that we get on with protecting victims and taking steps to do that. We must do that, and we must do that on a cross-party basis. But in addition, we think that a national inquiry will help join the dots and give us more information, which will help us to protect victims further in the future.
I think what we've seen from the Conservatives today is shameless opportunism in pursuit of a cheap headline. The outcome of what they have done, if it were to pass in the House of Commons, will be to kill stone dead this landmark legislation that would keep children safe.
You've got your hat, go on then. Have a lovely day everywhere.
While the politicians argue, the children of Carmill are a lot more relaxed as they start another day that could change their futures. Anne O'Connor, ITV News, St Helens.
I tell you what, I think everyone should start the day with a big old dance-off to Final Countdown.
It's so nice. My day begins with going grabbing a cup of coffee and being like, oh, my back. So, yeah.
That's because you're old.
I'm not old. Stop saying that. OK, next tonight, so a mum who has devoted much of her life to the fight for truth. It was nearly 36 years ago when Margaret Aspinall's world was turned upside down.
Yeah, her son James was one of 97 Liverpool fans killed in the Hillsborough disaster, and she spent the years since campaigning for justice with other bereaved parents and latterly becoming the chair of the Hillsborough Family Support Group.
Well, tonight, Margaret's being awarded the Freedom of Knowsley, where she lives, only the 8th person to be given the honour. She's been speaking to our correspondent, Victoria Grimes.
It's not just about me. It's about everybody. It's about the families. It's about the people who supported the families for all of them years. But I'm so grateful for Knowsley for offering me this lovely honour. I'm really proud, really, to be honest with you, very proud. But as I said, I think there's a lot of people deserve it as well as myself.
You've always had the support of the people here in Knowsley, haven't you? They've been right behind you.
Oh, been amazing, absolutely amazing. I mean, even now when you go out shopping and people come up to you, can I have a photograph with you? And if I'm nobody, I am absolutely nobody. All I am is the mother of 5 children who's done what any other mother or any other parent would do for the love of their child.
Sir Keir Starmer, have you spoken to him about the Hillsborough law?
I got a phone call at home from him after the conference to promise me that there will be a Hillsborough law for the next anniversary, which is in April this year. I've got to hope and trust that he's as good as his word, but I don't want a Hillsborough law, little snippets and little breadcrumbs. I want the Hillsborough law in all its entirety for the good of these people now who are fighting cover-ups. It's so important to me. And once, if we get the Hillsborough law, well done, families. Well done.
Will you rest then?
I hope so. I hope so. I hope I have time then, properly with my family. I have made a lot of sacrifices, but also that makes me feel a bit guilty. Not for what I've done, but because of not watching the children grow up, and then watching my grandchildren, grow up. I mean, my eldest granddaughter now is 22. I always remember getting a phone call in the office and just said, can I have an appointment to see my nan, please? And that really got to me. It really made me think, oh my gosh, I'm doing to my grandchildren what I'd done to my own children. But was it worth it? Would I do it again? Of course I would. I absolutely would, because I loved my son so much and all the other families loved theirs.
James would have been 54 this year.
Yeah.
Have you had time to think about him over these years?
No. When they used to come to interview me, I used to say to them, please don't ask me anything about James. Because if you do, I knew I'd just break down. And if I started talking about James, I was forgetting the other 96. And to me, that wouldn't have been right. So I had to put James out the equation and do my job for the families. Every one of them loved theirs as much as I loved mine. And that's what kept us going. And to change things, hopefully, for the good of the nation.
Such an absolutely remarkable woman, what she's done over the years.
What an achievement. Congratulations to you, Margaret.
Yeah. Well, sticking with football in Liverpool tonight, they hope to put one foot in Wembley Stadium.
Yeah, the reigning League Cup holders are at Spurs tonight for their first leg of this year's semi-finals.
And as Chris Hall reports, no one knows this trophy better than them.
Liverpool have been in love with the League Cup since the 80s, when 4 years running they lifted the trophy.
The most confidence to look forward to the upcoming weeks and months is that till now we haven't stolen 1 point. All the points we got were fully deserved. The season, if all the results were as expected or fully deserved, or there were a few lucky moments as well, I don't know.
It's only 2 weeks since their last trip to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and that was a classic 6-3 win for the Reds.
Scoring 3 goals against us is also an accomplishment. I know we've scored 6 in that game as well, but scoring 3 against us is what not many teams have done till now. And that is what we are trying to do every game, mostly with a result of winning. Injuries, people say, yeah, that's because you have injuries. If we drop points, if Mo misses the penalty against Madrid, he's distracted by his contract situation. If Trent has not his best performance, he's distracted by the contract situations. If they play really well, nobody tells me, yeah, that's because they have a contract situation. So we always try to find arguments, but 9 out of 10 times the best argument is...
Emery can't match Liverpool's flex when it comes to lifting the 3-handled prize. Chris Hall, ITV News.
Good luck to Liverpool. Well, next tonight, and not content with this year's Oasis reunion, Noel Gallagher is now joining a supergroup. He appears on a new psychedelic track for the band Mantra of the Cosmos, led by the son of Beatles drummer Sir Ringo Starr.
And this is the song. Oh, Gamal's feet are tapping under the desk there.
You've got to show more effort, like you like this song at the very least.
Too much dancing last night. One of the band's existing members is Sean Ryder from the Happy Mondays, and Tim Scott caught up with them a little earlier.
Supergroup indeed. Son of Ringo, Zach Starkey on drums, Sean Ryder on vocals, Bez on maracas and vibes, and Ride and Oasis's Andy Bell on guitars. Now, Mantra of the Cosmos have a new single to promote. It's called Domino Bones and features Noel Gallagher on vocals. Next week, they'll be playing 2 shows at the Cavern in Liverpool to launch it.
Me and Noel was doing the track. Yeah. And it ended up, Noel then gave it to Zach for Mantra of the Cosmos.
Yeah, right, okay. And so what we hear is a lot of Zach Starkey, Ringo Starr's son, is all over this, is he?
Yeah. It's basically, I mean, Zach's done, the production and everything. I mean, it was, he's weirded it up. So, okay. I mean, the thing about it is, right, with Mantra, is for me, it's totally different than Mondays, it's totally different than Black Grape, it's totally different with the stuff that I do with Sonny Levine for my solo stuff, you know what I mean? It's so, and Mantra is different.
How are you doing for rehearsing for all this then? It's only a week away, the gig. Have you been hard at it?
Well, some of the techs have, and I'm in on the 15th.
Okay.
I start rehearsals on the 15th.
Yeah. And the gig's only a few days after that, isn't it?
Yeah. Is it the
19th, I think.
19th,
yeah.
Don't ask me, when anything is, or, right. I mean, where it's at. Even the only reason I know it's at the Cavern is because, that does stick in your head.
Right. Are you going to do half an hour, 40 minutes?
Oh, dude, it's old school. I mean, I've never done anything like this in my life, but it's proper old school. We do a 2:00 show.
Yeah, matinee.
And then we do an 8:00 show.
That's right, yeah.
I mean, don't forget Bez is involved in all this as well.
Yeah.
So by the time, we've done the 2:00 and we're going on the 8:00, I don't know how we're all going to be.
Potential for chaos.
Just a bit. I'm Sean Ryder, and Happy New Year for Granada Reports. How old is it? About 302.
Cheers, Sean. Happy New Year to you too.
Definitely. So you'd be in your supergroup?
Oh, gosh. There'd be a Granada Report supergroup involving myself, maybe Crony, the Hall brothers and David Chisnall.
Add pace goes in. OK, well, it was another wintry start for many of us today, and these were the beautiful views in St Helens and also Northwich and Antrobus in Cheshire, where the fields were once again largely covered in white.
There were more delays to our journeys and some schools were closed. Tonight, the forecast is there's more of the cold snap to come. Joe has got the details.
Why do I need a shower? I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Thank you. Very good evening to you. The wintry theme will be continuing over the next few days and nights across the whole of the UK. And here in the northwest, severe frost to come with some of our coldest nights of the season so far expected. Snowfall for some of us over the next 24 hours. Less cold conditions though through next week, with something slightly milder beginning to move in by Sunday from the southwest. But before that, the rest of this week, we've got that blue, very cold air across the whole of the country. It's feeling really very chilly with widespread hard frost to come and icy stretches again overnight tonight quite widely across the northwest of England. So take extra special care through tonight and tomorrow morning. Wintry showers with some sleet and snow up on higher ground for the Isle of Man, and then feeding through into Merseyside and Cheshire by dawn. Snow showers expected with a widespread and hard frost quite widely as we get up tomorrow morning. The sun will be up just after 8:25, setting at 4:11 tomorrow afternoon. Just be very careful tomorrow if you're out and about. Very icy to start the day. And for Liverpool, Merseyside, parts of Cheshire, snow showers to start the rush hour tomorrow, easing off by mid-morning. Lots of wintry sunshine for all of us through the day tomorrow. But if you factor in a fresh northerly, northwesterly breeze, 2 or 3 Celsius will feel more like -4 tomorrow afternoon. And temperatures tomorrow night could dip to around -10 again. So a very cold night to come before a frosty start on Friday. It remains very chilly into the weekend, but gradually through Sunday that milder air begins to encroach from the southwest. And next week, thankfully, it won't feel quite as cold. Enjoy your evening.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Who'd been your supergroup?
Too embarrassed to say. Probably E17, a bit of All Saints.
Not bad.
Take
not
that,
bad.
maybe.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.